What's good, chat? We back. Hopefully with another motherfucking bang, man. Shout out Hood 187, man. This is just some shit that I stumbled upon in my suggestions. On some shit, wanted to react to this. It's called Crips denied her, so she became their worst nightmare. Deadliest female blood, shit like that. I don't know, I feel like she probably got an interesting story, you feel me, based off the title. But without further ado, chat, it's that little cash global, you already know what I got the 410 boy, man. That Tuski Dotadovsky nigga, one of the G's, and only the motherfucking G's, man. Chat. Tap back in with me, make sure y'all got that Super Bowl ready. Let's get into it. I ain't gonna yet.
But Lakesha Davis ran straight toward it.
What the fuck?
Most people run from danger, but Lakesha Davis ran straight toward it. Growing up in the heart of Tulsa's gang wars, Lakesha was built to survive by any means necessary.
Where's Tulsa? Tulsa in Oklahoma?
And to do whatever it took to protect herself and the ones she loved. Her older brother was a member of the 107 Hoovers and was one of the few people she was truly close to. Despite their bond, streets say that Lakesha once tried to follow in his footsteps, but when she got denied by the Hoovers, everything changed.
The police arrest a woman accused of shooting and killing a man outside of a store near 61st and Peoria.
So she started
Documents say Lakeisha Davis shot and killed Trey Pizzana after Pizzana and 3 others robbed another man. Court documents say Davis kept shooting Pizzana even after he was on the ground. Investigators say Davis and Pizzana were members of rival gangs.
But how did this young girl from Tulsa go from almost repping Hoover to becoming their worst nightmare? This is the story of Lakesha Davis, better known as K4. Lakeisha Davis grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a city that's been a recurring feature on the First 48 since 2004. Known for its heavy gang presence, Tulsa is home to several prominent groups, including the Hoover Crips, 52 Red Mob Bloods, and the neighborhood Crips. This notoriety has deeply impacted the local youth, many of whom have been drawn into a lifestyle of violence and street drilling influenced by the city's gang culture. Lakeisha Davis' story is a lot like many other black teens in Tulsa. Tulsa's black youth often found themselves trapped in a cycle of violence and vengeance. It wasn't uncommon to befriend gang members as early as elementary school. By middle school, you'd be claiming a set, and by high school, the path usually led to one of 2 outcomes: death or a life sentence for murder. Lakeisha Davis simply became a product of her environment. Lakeisha began spending time on the south side of Tulsa, particularly around East 64th Street and Newport Avenue. While there, she became close with a man known as Faisum, who police say is a member of the 52 Red Mob Bloods. Faisum is reportedly facing a murder charge and is credited with founding a crew called 64 SND. The SND group is made up of known Hoover killers and is said to have one mission: to wipe out all Hoover gangs in Tulsa. This was complicated for her though, since her family has ties to different gangs. Her brother was said to be part of the 57 Garrison Block Hoover Crips, but people say he got kicked out of the gang after he was accused of snitching when some members of the 57 Hoovers got in a car and tracked down someone from a rival Hoover set on the east side. They followed him on the expressway, then shot up his car before speeding away.
Tulsa police say 17-year-old Tarek Chairs was driving a stolen vehicle east on the Broken Arrow Expressway around 1 a.m. Sunday, when people in another car heading in the same direction pulled up next to Chairs' vehicle and they started shooting.
There's other vehicles that are on the highway, and these rounds could be going anywhere.
Witnesses who were driving on Highway 51 tell police someone in the stolen car began firing back before Chairs crashed into the center median.
It's not like a side street where there's minimal traffic. This is a highway where you have 300,000 plus Tulsans that go through each day. So for us to try to preserve what we would call a scene is, I wouldn't say impossible, but it's daunting.
The case would have gone unsolved, but once cash rewards were offered for information, someone started talking. Lakeisha Davis loved her brother deeply and was very close to him, but some believe it was the snitch allegations surrounding him that led her to join a rival gang. She could have joined any other Hoover gang, but she chose 64 SND. And even though she was a girl, she made it clear she rolled just like one of the boys. Lakeisha had a tough demeanor. She talked, dressed, and fought like one of the guys. People often referred to her as a stud, suggesting she was attracted to females. However, some also claim she had a child with a man named Chuck, who was killed in a car accident, though that's something I can't confirm. She adopted the name K4 and quickly became infamous as the most powerful bloodette in Oklahoma. Word on the street was that she didn't hesitate to make a name for herself. Allegedly, she was often seen with a gun and rumored to have been involved in robberies targeting rival gang members and civilians, particularly outside quick trips around Tulsa. It's said that K4 often wore oversized baggy clothing, allegedly to to conceal any weapons she might have been carrying, making it hard for anyone to know she was armed. But according to the streets, even without a gun, she could hold her own. People claimed she wasn't afraid to throw hands, reportedly getting into fights with male members of rival gangs and earning respect for her toughness. They say you could see it in her eyes, a burning, unrelenting fire fueled by rage and a deep desire to crush anyone who dared stand against her. There was no mercy in her stare, just raw intensity. People described her expression as cold, calculated, almost inhuman. To some, she didn't just look angry, she looked possessed. Ruthless and unforgiving, the streets painted her as something more than a threat. They called her a demon in the flesh. Some even referred to her as a stick-up kid, a term used for those believed to be engaged in armed robberies. However, it's important to note that no criminal convictions were ever tied to her name regarding these rumors. By the age of 17, she found herself deeply entrenched in a violent gang war with the Hoovers. In the midst of the conflict, she aligned with FNB to form a ruthless coalition known as the Southeast Notorious Village, an alliance between Bloods and Crips, united under the banner of Hoover Killer. This alliance earned a notorious reputation for its brutality, showing no distinction between rival gang members and civilians. They've been documented attacking anyone they accused of disrespecting the dead. In one incident, they captured a member of the 57 Hoovers, forcibly cut off his dreads, and made him take back everything he had said dissing them. But it was mostly 64 SND who were pushing the line against the Hoovers, constantly bragging about drilling them in interviews and music videos.
That nigga gone though, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Fuck that dead nigga. I just traced what's his face down yesterday.
On the shit. That nigga tried to dodge bullets.
That nigga really lucky. I'm telling you, I didn't.
Hey, that nigga tried to dodge. That nigga
Fuck
sucked.
all that call the suckers stuff.
Yeah.
But on Thursday, January 18th, 2024, a shootout happened near 58th and South Peoria Avenue. K4 was walking to a local corner store, reportedly to grab some wraps. As she entered the parking lot, 3 Hoover gang members were in the middle of robbing a random bystander, a heavy-set white man they saw as an easy target. K4 wasn't involved, just minding her business on the way to the store, but things escalated when one of the Hoovers started pressing her as she walked by. She exchanged words with one of the members, and he just kept pressing. Allegedly, he told her he had a gun. What he didn't know was that he was talking to a fierce shooter, one with a bigger gun and quicker reflexes. She pulled out her gun and shot at one of the gang members. He ran but tripped behind some cars nearby. She kept shooting at him while he tried to get back up. He pulled his gun, but wasn't able to use it. At first it looked like most of the shots missed, but she ran closer to make sure he couldn't get up, and shot several more times at him. The other 2 Hoover members ran away scared, but she started shooting at them too. The police report states that she stood over him and fired more than 16 shots before leaving the parking lot. The entire incident was captured on surveillance footage, which shows a truck passing by during the shooting. With this video evidence, witness testimonies, and a clear motive, authorities had enough grounds to charge her with the shooting. K4 managed to evade arrest for 13 days, moving from house to house to avoid Tulsa police. Despite the
if niggas starting in it though, bro, is that not self-defense, bro? Cause if a nigga tell me he got a gun and shit, I'm assuming he won't use that bitch on me, and you know what I'm saying? If I got that bitch on me, I'ma fight back too. Like, yeah, different. I'm not gonna let you up that bitch on me, and you feel me? Cause that's like, that shit, a motherfucker saying, hey, stop playing, I got this, you know what I'm saying? I got that bitch on me. I got that bitch on me. And niggas say that, bro. Niggas trying to use that motherfucker. I ain't playing no games. I respect what she did. That's self-defense.
Challenges, she was finally taken
into
custody
standing over
on January 31st.
I mean, I know with the law and shit, once you stand over the nigga, it's like, yeah, that's a murder. If you dump 16 shots in a nigga while you on the ground, yeah, that's first degree. But like, you feel me? I respect the fact that she shot back, but I understand the fact that she also, you know, stood over him and all that. That's like,
and charged with the murder of Clifford Pizzana, also known as Trey. Trey had been widely covered in the media as a victim, with most of the reports painting K4 as a demon.
61st in Peoria yesterday afternoon. 2 News anchor Sharon Phillips has a look at the woman that officers need your help tracking down.
Tulsa police tell us that through their investigation, they were able to identify this woman as a suspect in that shooting. Her name is Lakeisha Davis.
Damn, fuck, she got M16.
You can see in the surveillance photo from police that she was armed with a semi-automatic pistol at the time of the shooting. Police say she is a suspect in the death of this man, 27-year-old Clifford Pizzana, known as Trey to friends and family. We spoke with Pizzana's sister, Deja, shortly after about the untimely death of her brother.
They just told me that he got into it with some people and they beat him up. And then they just stood over my brother's body and just shot him. Just shot him dead. 16 times. They didn't have to do that. That's my big brother. My big brother is gone now. He's gone.
However, the truth was more complicated. Trey was allegedly a member of the 57 Garrison Block Hoovers, the same gang her brother was affiliated with, and many stories have surfaced about what really happened. Some say it all started with the robbery Trey and the other Hoovers were doing moments before, while others claim it was just a fight that escalated into a deadly shootout. But friends and family of K4 came forward, saying she acted in self-defense, and it's possible the case could have played out that way. But K4 made several mistakes, including fleeing the scene, which complicated everything. The state of Oklahoma has pretty strong self-defense laws, but they come with some clear limits. In K4's situation, she was in a public place, and based on what's known, may have been legally carrying a firearm. If she witnessed an armed robbery, and the robber threatened her, that could legally justify the use of deadly force, if she genuinely believed her life or someone else's was in danger. Up to that point, her actions could potentially fall within the boundaries of Oklahoma's self-defense laws. However, the situation shifted when K4 continued to shoot the robber after they were already down and no longer a threat. Once the immediate danger is gone, any additional use of deadly force is no longer protected under self-defense laws. She continued to fire, which is seen as excessive force or even second-degree murder, depending on how the court views her intent. Self-defense ends the moment the threat is neutralized. K4 also reportedly fled the scene and went into hiding for 13 days. This significantly undermines any claim of self-defense. Leaving the scene and avoiding authorities can be interpreted as a sign of guilt and may suggest that she believed her actions were not justified. Prosecutors could use this behavior to argue against a self-defense claim and pursue criminal charges such as manslaughter or murder. While K4's initial reaction during the robbery might have been justifiable under Oklahoma law, the continued use of force after the threat was over and her decision to flee likely moved the situation outside the bounds of lawful self-defense. And on March 6, 2025, 18-year-old Lakeisha Dawn Davis, also known as K4, entered a plea of nolo contender, meaning she neither admitted guilt nor agreed with the charges. K4 was found guilty of 1 count of amended manslaughter and 2 counts of intent to kill. Each count carried a 20-year sentence, totaling to 60 years behind bars. K4 won't be eligible for release until the year 2085, at which point she will be 78 years old. It's wild to think that K4 might have beaten the murder charge. Many believe it was a case of self-defense, but fear got the best of her, and fleeing the scene ultimately led to her own tragic end. And members of 64 SND have paid tribute to her in music, often referring to her case as self-defense while taking aim at rivals. K4 will be remembered as an OG within 64 SND, since she was rumored to have been there since 2019, during their formation.
This a dirty pipe. Me and K4 in a load trying to take your life.
Thanks for watching another.
Nah, that's crazy. I ain't gonna lie, that was a crazy one. Chat, only 18 and you ain't getting out to you 78, bro. Shit, chat. Shit, chat. Damn, that was a sad story, man. But that was that Crips denied her, so she became their worst nightmare. Deadliest female blood, man. RIP to those that lost their life, and you know, my condolences. Yeah, chat, that was a sad story. It been that little cash global, you already know, but they ain't nigga out the 4-0 boy, man. Once again, shout out Hood 187. Yeah, chat, with that being said, though, y'all know the protocol, y'all know what we do, so without further ado, we finna soldier it! Stay blessed, stay pretty, and stay hydrated, man, chat. That being said, without further ado, Crips is mad!